So, I'm going to be reading Elijah Divides the Jordan. Now, the Jordan has been divided, looked into this, 3 times. Once with Joshua and Moses, okay? Once with Elijah, and then once with his successor, Elisha, okay? So, here we are. And it came to pass, when the Lord was about to take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. Then Elijah said to Elisha, "Stay here, please, for the Lord has sent me on to Bethel." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. Now the sons of the prophets who were at Bethel came out to Elisha, and said to him, "Do you know that the Lord will take away your master from you today?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." So he didn't want to hear that, okay? He knew about it. He didn't want to think about it. My husband's the same way. Any kind of problems come up, he don't want to think about it until it happens, you know. And when it happens and he has to deal with it, then he wants to deal with it. So, just how he is. Then Elijah said to him, "Elisha, stay here, please, for the Lord has sent me on to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives and as your soul lives, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. Now the song of the prophets who were at Jericho came to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that the Lord will take away your master from over you today?" So he answered, "Yes, I know. Keep silent." So, second time, he's like, "I know. Don't want to hear about it." Okay. Then Elijah said to him, "Stay here, please, for the Lord has sent me on to the Jordan." But he said, "As the Lord lives and as your soul lives, I will not leave you." So the 2 of them went on, and 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood facing them at a distance, while the 2 of them stood by the Jordan. Now Elijah took his mantle, rolled it up, and struck the water, and it was divided this way and that. So the 2 of them crossed over on dry ground. I mean, just amazing. Amazing. You know, God is still doing amazing stuff today. My God changed my mom's heart. He changed really my fate because, one thing, I wasn't supposed to be here. Doctors gave me 24 hours to live. I'm going to be 40 in November. So that's a blessing. You know, a lot of women aren't going to say, "Oh, being 40 isn't a blessing." No, you know. But to me, it's a blessing because that's 40 years on this earth. So, you know, and I didn't want to come to Oklahoma. I lived in California. Didn't want to ever live in Oklahoma. Earthquakes I was used to. Tornadoes, nope. Anytime I saw things on TV about tornadoes, I thought, oh no, who the heck would want to live there in Tornado Alley? Screw that. But, you know, Oklahomans look at Californians like, why would you want to live with earthquakes? At least with a tornado, there's a warning and you know to hide. Where an earthquake is just, here it is. So, you know, every place you live is going to have some kind of disaster. So, it is what it is. Just whichever disaster you're comfortable living with. Let's see. But you know what? I love Oklahoma. You couldn't pay me to live in California. If you said, "I will give you $1 million to go move out to California," I'd say, nope. I'll stay right here. Thank you. So, let's see here. And so it was when they had crossed over that Elijah said to Elisha, "Ask, what may I do for you before I am taken away from you?" Elisha said, "Please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me." Now, the Israelites did believe in reincarnation. I'm not talking about you die and your spirit inhabits an animal, okay? That's different. But they did believe that you can give part of your soul to somebody, part of your spirit. And so Elijah gave him part of his spirit, you know, before he went to be with God. Now, he didn't die. He went to God, you know, you'll see. But, let's see here. So he said, "You have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so for you. But if not, it shall not be so." So he's like, if you see me, it'll happen. If not, then it won't. So he's like, and leave it up to God what he wants to do. Then it happened, as they continued on and talked, that suddenly a chariot of fire appeared with horses of fire, and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elijah saw it, and he cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. So he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and tore them in 2 pieces. That was a symbol of grieving, He was missing him. That was his father, not necessarily your father as in like, I've created you, or, gave my seed to make you. Father as in, I raised you, I trained you, okay? So, I don't know if any of y'all been adopted, If somebody adopts you, they are your parents. They're not your biological parents, but they are your parents that are raising you. So, he also took up the mantle of Elijah that had fallen from him and went back and stood by the bank of the Jordan. Then he took the mantle of Elijah that had fallen from him and struck the water, boom, just like Elijah, and said, where is the Lord God of Elijah? And when he also struck the water, it was divided this way and that, and Elisha crossed over. See, Elijah and Elisha, it's like tongue twister. Now when the sons of the prophets who were from Jericho saw him, they said, the spirit of Elijah rests on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed to the ground before him. Then they said to him, look now, there are 50 strong men with your servants. Please let them go and search for your master, lest perhaps the Spirit of the Lord has taken him up and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley. And he said, you shall not send anyone. It's like, he's with the Lord, okay? Can you imagine being still alive and the Lord just says, you're with me now? I always thought if I met somebody famous, I'd probably pass out. If that happened, I would pass out. But when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, send them. Therefore they sent 50 men, and they searched for 3 days, but did not find him. Of course they're not going to find him. When God takes you, nobody's going to find you. You ever see the movie Left Behind? Watch it, okay? And when they came back to him, for he had stayed at Jericho, he said to them, did I not say to you, do not go? Then the men of the city said to Elisha, please notice the situation of this city is pleasant, as my Lord sees, but the water is bad and the ground barren. So it's like, the city's beautiful, but we're not be able to grow food. Our water is trash. Okay. So the water remains healed to this day, according to the word of Elisha, which he spoke. So Elisha healed it. Okay. Then he went up from there to Bethel, and as he was going up the road, some youths came from the city and mocked him, said to him, go up, you bald head, go up, you bald head. Now I looked this up because I thought this was kind of interesting. He could have really been a bald head, but they were basically trying to mock God. They weren't just mocking him like, oh, you're a bald man. They were mocking God like, we don't want you in our town. You're scum of the earth, okay? When you insult God, beware, okay? So he turned around and looked at them and pronounced a curse on them in the name of the Lord. And 2 female bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the youths. Okay, 42 of them. So, they could have been wanting to hurt him. I don't know. But, like I said, don't mock God, okay? Not a good idea. Then he went from there to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria. So now he's in Samaria, okay? So now we're going to see what happens next, because next, Elisha predicts victory over Moab. So remember, Israelites and Moabites did not get along, except for, of course, Ruth. You know that story. So now we're going to see next what happens. So peace. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and peace.